Just 1 second. Hello, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests of honors. Good morning, and it's such a delight to welcome you to the Moving Nigeria from food security. From scarcity to food security, and it's really our pleasure to welcome you to this wonderful occasion. My name is Adetiloye Continental, and I'll be your guest. I'll be your guide and MC for this program. Thank you so much for coming. To start this program, we're going to be calling on our publisher, Mr. Frank. Mr. Frank, thank you so much for being here. We'd like to call on him to give us the opening remark for this event. Thank you very much, everyone. Good morning. Please give him a round of applause, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Systems, Lagos State, Mrs. Abisola Olusoye, we welcome you warmly and pay due tribute to you for taking time to join us here this morning. We appreciate your very busy schedule and are grateful not only that you have come, but have come quite early as well. Our distinguished speakers, I can see Dr. Fashola, I can see Dr. Masha, people who I have followed over the years and just watched how impactful their interventions have been. I can also see my very good friend and Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Lagos State. Good to see you, sir. You're very welcome, and thank you for joining us. Distinguished speakers, panelists, guests, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very simple task this morning, which is to, on behalf of BusinessDay and our sponsors, to welcome you to this annual gathering by BusinessDay that seeks to further interrogate how Nigeria can be truly sufficient in food production, and not just being sufficient, but also be a significant global player in the area of agriculture, not only to feed our people, but to feed our industries, to expand export as well. Today we have chosen to focus on 4 key areas, namely future-proofing Nigeria's food security. With a very large population that increasingly is exposed to food shortage, we have a duty and obligation to ensure that we truly move Nigeria from scarcity to food security. We need to look at how we can better improve input into agriculture, adoption of high-yield seedlings, better preparation of the land, and of course, improved use of fertilizers and other inputs. We're also going to be focusing on improving farm-to-market strategies and their adoption. How do you, for instance, reduce the heavy waste level after harvest in Nigeria? Some estimate that that waste is as much as 40%. That's quite significant. And I believe that that is perhaps one low-hanging fruit. What that tells me is that if we can just cut farm-to-market waste, it would seem as if we are doubling production on an annual basis. We also have to look at how to better adopt technology. And some of the speakers this morning will be speaking to these areas. But perhaps another area, an important area we'll be looking at, is the area of investment and attracting finance and funding into agriculture. With an interest rate environment in excess of 30% per annum, you and I agree that that certainly is a recipe for failure. We must quickly work to bring down interest rates in Nigeria, but not just bringing down interest rates, we must also work to make farming and agriculture attractive to capital, in the hope that we can better fund intervention in the area of agriculture. Only days ago, there was this very dire announcement by the Food and Agri Organization, just pointing to the dire situation of 31 million Nigerians this year who will be exposed to severe, very severe food shortage. In this light, I'd like to acknowledge the great work being done by the Lagos State government. And I'm not surprised that we have the commissioner here with us this morning. The government in Lagos has easily identified that agriculture is an important area for government to focus on, helping to build bridges across the country, but most importantly, ensuring public-private sector collaboration that helps in bringing about efficiencies. And you would have thought, Lagos is one of the most, if not the most industrialized states in Nigeria. Why is it bordering with agriculture? Lagos has perhaps the largest population of all the states in Nigeria and recognizes that the people must feed. They will work in industries, work in aviation, but their life every day starts from a good breakfast. And it's for that reason that I commend the foresight of the governor and of the cabinet of Lagos State for choosing to be light in what is easily mostly darkness in Nigeria. Once again, let me warmly welcome you and quickly get this done so I can get myself out of the way. That way we can get to the real business of this morning. But before I do that, let me commend and acknowledge our sponsors who have been very kind to put their money where their heart is by ensuring that we're here together this morning. John Vance is our headline sponsor. We thank you. We have seen your signs all over. Beulah, our sponsors, we thank you. Nestle, Track, our sponsors, we thank you very much. We also thank our other sponsors, and of course, our technical partners, Sahel Consulting and the Lagos Business School, for the partnership that they have kindly extended to us this morning. And I think we have one other sponsor that I am struggling. Dr. Masha, the last time you saw me, I wasn't this old, and my eyes were not this bad, or my sight wasn't this bad. Amofam Siabara Hatchery Nigeria Limited. I got it eventually. Thank you very much for being our kind sponsors. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Our distinguished commissioners from Lagos State, thank you for honoring us with your presence this morning. I have absolutely no doubt that by the time we are done here today, you will regard the time that you have spent with us truly worth your while. Once again, we welcome you and thank you for coming.
Please give him a round of applause, please. Very wonderful. Thank you very much. I mean, we've always known that the agricultural landscape of Nigeria has the potential to be a powerhouse for the world. But that has not been the reality over the years, and we are changing that. We're moving not just from, scarcity, we are moving to a place of abundance, to the place that we can actually feed the world. And it is with this in mind that I want to welcome, none other than the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Security for Lagos State Government, Mrs. Abishola. Thank you very much, ma'am. Please give her a round of applause, please.
Good morning, everybody. Warm greetings from Mr. Governor himself. On the agenda, I saw that I'm here as myself, but I guess that in the Lagos State Cabinet, we had another idea. I'm actually here representing the governor. He should have been here himself. This is his speech that I'll be reading out to us this morning. But before that, I would just like to thank Mr. Frank Aigbogun for inviting us and for recognizing us and the work that the Lagos State government is doing under the able leadership of our governor, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu. But before that, as the Commissioner for Agriculture, I would like to appreciate the fantastic works being done by Dr. Odunto. We have met at several fora. We have discussions. I've heard him speak, and I don't think that you could have a rounder peg in a rounder hole. Also, Dr. Kola Masha, you may not know me, you may not have met me before, but whilst I was in Lagos Business School, I was inspired to work with Babangona. That was years ago. It was one of those companies that I was actually looking forward to, that, yes, I think I would like to work with this man based on all that I see him doing. Unfortunately, that never happened, but our paths will cross today. And I have so many other people in the room, recognizing my fellow colleagues, starting with the Commissioner for Information and Strategy. That is the man we call Mr. Omoti, Mr. Gbenga Omotosho, and Mr. Frank, sir. Just in case you are not aware, You know Dr. Fashola, and he said he was actually here as a speaker in 2018. But Dr. Fashola is also a member of the Lagos State Cabinet. He's a special advisor to the governor on agriculture and food systems. And when you are looking for anything related to rice in Lagos State, so Eco Rice, that is the man. So Dr. Oluwarotimi Fashola is also here. And I have the senior special assistant to the governor as well. I have my colleagues, my team members also here in the room with us this morning. So not to bore you, I will just delve straight into Mr. Governor's speech. It is an honor to join you today at the Business Day Future of Agriculture Conference 2025, a timely gathering addressing the critical theme, moving Nigeria from scarcity to food security. This dialogue is not just a conversation, it is a call to action as we confront the escalating food security crisis in Nigeria, where an estimated 31.8 million people face severe food insecurity back in 2024. As Governor of Lagos State, I am acutely aware of our unique challenges and responsibilities. Our mega city consumes over 30% of Nigeria's food supply while producing less than 15% locally. This imbalance underscores the critical need for innovative solutions and collaborative efforts across all levels of government and the private sector. I am deeply committed to transforming our food systems. Today, I'll share Lagos State's innovative strategies, highlight impactful initiatives implemented under my administration, and propose actionable solutions for achieving food security. Nigeria's agriculture sector is a cornerstone of our economy, contributing approximately 22% to the GDP and employing around 36% of the labor force. Despite its diversity, spanning cereals, legumes, cash crops, livestock, and fisheries, the sector faces challenges such as low productivity, inadequate infrastructure, limited access to finance and technology and markets, and climate change impacts. Nigeria possesses immense agricultural potential, yet critical challenges hinder its ability to achieve food security. With over 84 million hectares of arable land, much of it remains underutilized, representing a significant untapped resource for boosting agricultural productivity. Additionally, post-harvest losses for perishable crops are alarmingly high, reaching 45% and costing the economy over $9 billion annually. While agriculture contributes significantly to the nation's GDP and employs such a substantial portion of the workforce, the sector continues to struggle with fragmentation, underinvestment, and inadequate infrastructure. For Lagos State, challenges are further magnified by its unique circumstances. Despite being home to over 25 million residents and consuming more than 30% of Nigeria's food supply, Lagos accounts for less than 1% of the country's landmass. This disparity underscores the need for innovative solutions and collaborative efforts to ensure food security for both Lagosians and Nigerians at large. Under my administration, Lagos has implemented bold interventions through the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems to address these challenges. Kicking off with the development of the State Agricultural and Food Systems Roadmap, which was launched in 2021, delving deep into the needs of the state, considering the value chains, and seeing Lagos's area of comparative and competitive advantage and honing in on markets as a key turning point for agriculture in the state. Also, the Onje Eco Food Discount Market, where we delivered immediate relief to communities by providing a 25% discount on selected food items across 59 locations in Phase 1, 66 locations in Phase 2, and directly mitigating food inflation and improved access to affordable nutrition. We have the World Food Day celebrations, organized week-long activities to raise awareness about food security and sustainable agriculture. We also have the Eco Flavors project, where we celebrate Nigeria as a melting pot, particularly in culinary talent and supporting local food vendors. We have the Agri-Innovation Summit and the Agri-thon and the Agri-Innovation Club, where we have a youthful group of entrepreneurs within the food space, and where we empowered young agripreneurs with grants to drive innovation across the various value chains. We also have the Onja Eco Farmers Subsidy Program, where we supported farmers with 25% subsidy on poultry and fish feeds, mechanization services for crop production, fertilizer distribution, strengthening production capacity while addressing rising input costs. We also have the Lagos Aquaculture Center for Excellence, which is actually a project around the fisheries value chain, ensuring that we have a hub and spoke model where the private sector can actually mop up from cluster formations on fish, and then they can actually sell at lower, reduced prices to the populace. We also have the Central Logistics Hub, the middle level markets. Like I said, this is a fulcrum of our strategy around addressing food insecurity, considering the fact that we have farmers indeed in Lagos, but one of the critical challenges faced by them is access to market. You might wonder, how is this possible when you have the likes of Mile 12, you have the likes of Ido Market, Oyigbo, and what have you. But it would be shocking to tell you that it's actually very difficult for these farmers to access markets in Lagos by reason of the way markets are actually structured. By having these hubs in place, we are able to break the chain in a way that is constructive, not disruptive, not disruptive totally, but in a way that you have more of the farming population being addressed and ensuring that they are incentivized enough to continue to produce food and at lower prices. To propel Nigeria forward and towards a future of robust food security, we propose a multifaceted approach that leverages collaboration, government support, and private sector engagement. Our strategy is built on 3 pillars. One is subnational alliances, where we advocate for the establishment of a Feed Nigeria Pact, a groundbreaking initiative aimed at harmonizing agricultural policies across states. This pact will foster a unified national approach, ensuring that each region contributes its unique strengths to the collective goal of food security. The second will be federal support, where we urge the federal government to prioritize the development of rural infrastructure, which is crucial for enhancing agricultural productivity and connectivity. Additionally, offering tax incentives to agro-processors will stimulate growth in the sector by reducing operational costs and encouraging investment in value-added products. And the third will be private sector mobilization. By incentivizing investment in agrotech, innovation, and logistics, we can unlock the potential of modern farming techniques and efficient supply chains. This will not only improve crop yields and reduce waste, but also create new opportunities for entrepreneurship and job creation, driving economic growth while ensuring that food reaches every table across Nigeria. Lagos State is committed to leading this charge towards a sustainable agricultural future. However, success requires a collective action from all stakeholders present here today. I hope this conference will be the turning point where policies meet practice and pledges become progress towards a food-secure Nigeria. Thank you very much. Igbega Ikmileko, Ajumoshe Bogoani.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Please give her a round of applause. Please, may we stand? Thank you very much. Thank you so much, ma'am. We want to say thank you to the Lagos State Governor, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, represented by, the Commissioner of Agriculture and Food Systems, Mrs. Abisola Olusonya. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you very much. Please give Lagos State a round of applause. Lagos is becoming the major logistics hub for food security in Nigeria, and we really want to commend what the Lagos State government is doing regarding food security. It's very, very essential to have that conversation. Thank you very much. I would actually be calling right now our next speaker, presenter, and I'll just be reading a bit of his bio so we can actually know the wealth of experience that he brings to the table. I would be calling on Mr. Sunday Bankole. He is the Managing Director of Premium Cocoa Products, Ile OG Limited. Please. Yeah, Ile Oluji. Apologies. All right, it brings over 15 years of expertise in food safety, quality control, and product management in the cocoa processing industry. He is a chartered chemist. He holds a degree in chemistry and biochemistry, and is also a member of ICCON and a number of other organizations. He's also an IRCA certified lead auditor for food safety management systems. His career spans key roles at Plantation Industries, at John Vent Industries, where he drove quality assurance and operational efficiency. Notably, his team won the 2018 Global Market Award for the African region for excellence in food safety. And now he is leading PCPIL, which I just called the other time, and he focuses on sustainability, efficiency, and global competitiveness, strengthening Nigeria's cocoa industry in the local and international markets. Please make welcome Mr. Sunday Bankole. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning, all. So, permit me to recognize the presence of the Lagos State Governor, Dr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, ably represented by the Commissioner for Agriculture and Food System, the Honorable Commissioner for Information, Lagos State, the SA to the Government on Agriculture and Food System, the SSA is here present, distinguished speakers present in our midst this morning, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I'm standing here today to bring you the notes from John Vent Group, of which Premium Cocoa Industry is one of the subsidiaries. And based on today's theme, moving Nigeria from food scarcity to food security, may I humbly request a round of applause for our able publisher, Mr. Mike Aibogun. Thank you for organizing this program. On the 25th of September 2015, in New York, the United Nations member states gathered and adopted 17 global goals. Number one was eliminating poverty, and two on that goals was eliminating hunger by 2030, which means food is necessity. And where are we in Nigeria? Food in Nigeria is becoming a luxury, not affordable again. And it's even becoming harder to access every day. Why are they so? As we have previously heard from the Honorable Commissioner and the publisher, FAO said in 2023, about 25.1 million Nigerians are finding it difficult to access food. And by June 2025, that value will increase to 33.1 million, which means food is becoming more difficult to get. In Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe State alone, we are made to understand that about 4.4 million people are finding it difficult to access food, that they are food insecure, which were caused by about 2.2 million people that have been displaced by banditry and insecurity in that region. Food is becoming unaffordable in Nigeria also. As of December last year, our Nigerian Bureau of Statistics released our inflation rate to about 34.8, of which food inflation draws more than 50% of that. So the food inflation was put about 40% as of December last year, which states it implies that food is becoming only the rich can afford. Last year also, we recorded flooding. This has been happening year on year in Nigeria. And the reports by one of the states in the northern part of Nigeria indicated about 1.6 million hectares were flooded, which led to about 1.1 million tons of grains, sorghum, maize, were destroyed. So if what we are having, we are struggling to manage, and it's still being destroyed by natural disasters. These are the reasons why food are becoming inaccessible by the commoners. But what are the key factors that are fueling the crisis in Nigeria? As I said earlier, insecurity in the northern parts of the country. In the northeast, we have Boko Haram insurgency. In the northwest, we have banditries, cattle rustlers. In the middle belt, we are having herders and farmers clash. These are people that are actually involving in the 70% of Nigerian smallholders farmers are from this part of the world. But where are they today? In IDP camps. They are unable to access their farm. While we were on a field trip in Lagos business to Kano grain market, one of the merchants said he has over 22,000 hectares of land in Yobe before Boko Haram. So jokingly, one of us now asks, how many hectares do you have now? He says 0. So these are the factors that are making food inaccessible in Nigeria. What about climate change? Daily, last year, NIMET said we are going to be having excessive rain up to December. But guess what? By November 2nd, rain stopped. All the second phase of our consumables like maize, sorghum, they were unable to have access to rain because we so much depend on rain-fed agriculture. In Nigeria today, 80% of our farmers still depend on rainfall. Droughts and stress are destroying their farming. Economic instability and inflation. When governments remove subsidy from fuel, we found out that the fuel prices rose by almost 1,000%. You go to markets to buy tomato, the woman will tell you price of fuel has increased. What of Naira devaluation? A tomato seller will tell you dollar has gone up. We wonder what concerns dollar with tomato, but don't forget the inputs they are using, they are source of foreign exchange. Nigeria also depends so much on importation of food items. Despite, as the Honorable Commissioner said, we have over 84 million hectares of land, arable land in Nigeria. But here we are that we are importing food every day. Conflict as insecurity, as I rightly said earlier, is causing a lot of displacing people, and people have abandoned their farm. We have reduced productivity, which resulted in low productivity. Apology to the elders. While we were young, sir, all the local governments in Nigeria, if you go to the secretariat, you will see movers, earth movers, plowers, tractors that commoners can access. You pay rent and they will assist you on your farm. Likewise, all the farm roads are being managed by local government. But in Nigeria today, the reverse is the case. We have so much weak infrastructure that during rainy season, it is very difficult to move food items from the farm to the market. Also, we have limited value addition in agriculture in Nigeria. 70% of our produce lives as raw produce. Don't forget the 40% that are destroyed by inability to access the market. Where are we, and how do we rethink the approach to food security in Nigeria? Today, we need to build resilience and modern agricultural sector. There are a lot of institutes in Nigeria, institutions, federal parastatals, name it, that governments of old that have foreseen that Nigeria need to add value to agriculture. We have Nigerian Mechanization Institute in Ilorin. We have Root Crops and Research Institute in Imudike. We have IAR&T in Ibadan. These are institutions established by government to add value, to be able to make, for the smallholders, to be able to access mechanized institution, to be able to assist them in research into climate-smart agriculture. But the gap between those institutions and the actual farmers is becoming widened by the day. Irrigation is becoming almost difficult in Nigeria. The last report by the Ministry of Water Resources in Nigeria stated that Nigeria has 250 medium and large dams in Nigeria, and 323 small, medium, and large dams in Nigeria. Do you know that these dams about over 30 billion cubic meters of water? That is more than enough for Nigeria to achieve as SDG number 6, potable water. But how many farmers are accessing this irrigation system? We have turned these dams to a no-go area for people. What about access to finance for the farmers? There are a lot of programs by the government. Example is the Anchor Border program that the CBN gave over 500 billion naira to be accessed by farmers. But these monies were domiciled by the BOIs and the commercial banks that the farmers do not have access to directly. Government should be able to encourage and build a roadmap for actual farmer, not political farmer, not the paper-made farmer, to access this money. Most of us, we are privileged in John Vent to operating one of the biggest industry in Nigeria. The John Vent cocoa industry in Akure was built by Farmers Cooperative in 1992. So government should encourage the cooperative society also, giving this money directly to cooperative society, which, because they know their members, and it's easier to track and track. Nigeria should go from food importation to food production. We should produce more and import less. In John Vent Industry Limited, We have received so many calls to bring cocoa from other parts of the world to Nigeria. But one of our key value is to improve life and improve the farmer's life. And that's why we are today, we do more of processing in Nigeria, adding value to our cocoa value chain. We also process soya beans in one of our subsidiaries. I will show you the subsidiaries later. In one of our subsidiaries, Nobu Iguowo, we process soya beans to soya bean oil. We have cashew. If you visit our stand, you see more of our product there. Today, we are proving that local production plus value addition will give us food security in Nigeria and economic empowerment. May I let you know that today our combined capacity in cocoa processing in Nigeria is about 48,000 metric tons per annum. If you are exporting that raw cocoa alone, you need less than 20 staff. But if you want to process that cocoa to cocoa butter, cocoa cake, and cocoa, you need nothing less than 500 staff. And you talk about the other effects. We consume power in numbers. We transited to gas power. So the gas is supplied by somebody. So the ripple effect is into thousands and thousands. So which implies if we add value, we empower our people, we empower our farmer, then we empower the nation. Also, as I said earlier, we should empower the farmers through inclusive program. In John Vent, we have the outgrower farmers, then we have the outgrower scheme and the in-grower scheme. So the outgrowers, we have farmers clusters spread over the north that we give inputs to produce, then we guarantee offtake of their product. The in-grower farmer, so we have a scheme, the Ondo State government, there is a farm estate built by late Obafemi Awolowo in the 60s in Ondo State, spans about over 2,000 hectares. So the government concessioned about 1,000 hectares to John Vent Industries, where we formed the farmers into cooperative societies, and we're able to reach them directly. Today, that farm that was moribund for years has started production. Also, we are able to guarantee offtake pricing for the farmers. The problem we have in Nigeria today is from the farm to the market. There are a lot of middlemen, from brokers to sellers. Even the market woman will give to another market woman before it gets to the farm. The farmer will sell at 15 naira, the market woman will sell at 5,000. The farmers are not benefiting, and that's why farming are not getting more attractive to the youth. If we are able to reduce this chain, you find out that more of our youth will be going back to the farm. In John Vent also, we develop local value chain and agro-processing hubs. As I said, John Vent Industry Akure is an 18,000 metric tons processing capacity. Premium Cocoa Ileoluji, where I sit, is a 30,000 metric tons processing capacity. We have John Vent Foods in Idonre that produces chocolates and 3-in-1 John Vents. From our chocolate is from bean to bar, and we're able to trace. So if government can build this farm estate, build these processing hubs, it will reduce logistics. People can share. If you go to, most of us know Oba Akran in Ikeja. These are industries that can share resources. We can jointly share power, jointly share other utilities, and it will reduce our processing costs. And by this, people will be able to add more value to agricultural produce, thereby reducing the food loss and extending the shelf life. I said earlier that to process 48,000, we have close to 1,000 staff. This means that we are creating value, we are creating job. If government can do this, we are not in Lagos.
Not that we don't want to be in Lagos, but we want to be closer to the people, where the people will feel our impact more, so that to reduce urban and rural migration. Lagos is saying that 23 million population, but by 2030, Lagos is projected to even close to 30 million, putting more pressure in the urban area, while the rural area are being deserted. Please, government need to put more effort on this, establish hubs in those areas, and it will reduce urban migration. Last year or last 2 years, the Kano state government did irrigation services, and it increases their output by almost 90%. More people went into farming, and these are what examples we are talking about. To build a food-safe Nigeria, we need to harness technology and digital tools. The world today is talking about traceability, where you can scan a product and know the origin. These are ways Nigerians can achieve this by using digital traceability and transparency system in our sourcing. If you've built the farmers cooperative, they are able to trace and we are able to track. We have a program that we call a mobile platform for agriculture that farmers can access. It gives them a data on weather, most of them even have access to price. Today, this phone that we are holding is a veritable tool in accessing information. If I'm telling a farmer that a licensed buying agent, I want to buy cocoa at 10 million, he will tell you I'm on the market now, it's 13 million. Because there is access to information. Most of these farmers, the access they are having is on TikTok and Facebook, but governments can harness this opportunity by putting this information into their hand through those access. Also, why are we looking for farmer up and down to give access to when everybody can access financial inclusion on their? So one of our subsidiary, Kolo Money, has close to 100,000 financial included displaced individuals. That if you partner with such microfinance institution, access to these farmers is made accessible. And we can actually give these needs to the real farmer and not the political farmer, as I really said. Nigeria, in John Vent Foods, we are committed to a food secure Nigeria. And we believe that building a food secure Nigeria begins with empowering our people, strengthening our local system, and transforming agriculture from ground up. And how are we achieving this? We launched a program in 2022 that we called Nourish Crop Better Farmer. And the aim is to reach 150,000 farmers by 2030. And what are we doing? We are supporting them with inputs. We found out in Nigeria that it's difficult for a farmer off-season period to bring money from their pocket. Even if you are selling the product that will save their life for 5,000, it's difficult to get. So what we do in John Vent is to give this input to them as CSR. We give fertilizers, agrochemicals, safe agrochemicals to use, inputs on seedlings, improved seedlings are given to farmers. We have growers in Kano, Kaduna, and other regions. We have in Ondo State. We have clusters group. We have cooperative societies. Even we gave them interest loan. You know the funniest thing? We borrow the money with interest from bank, and we give it to the farmer at non-interest loan, so as to improve their livelihood and to better their life. Also, we facilitate their access to financing and digital traceability tools. In John Vent industry, we promote local production and inclusive value chains. How do we do this? As I said, we have a combined 48,000 metric tons cocoa processing capacity. We have an 100 tons per day palm kernel processing capacity in Owo, and 100 tons per day, which is 30,000 metric tons of soybean processing facility also in Owo, Nobu Egu. We trade in commodity, We have traded with Lagos State before, the Paddy rice, Eko rice. Oh, thank you. I rushed it. And soya beans, sesame seed, and more. And we are strengthening the supply chain. So we have a group of companies in John Vent. As I said, it's a group. We have John Vent Industry Limited, Akure, who is into cocoa processing. Premium Cocoa Ileoluji into cocoa processing. John Vent Foods in Idare. As I said, it makes chocolate and ready to drink, chocolate drink. We have Nobu Igu Industry in Owo. We face a lot of challenges in logistics, and that's made us to establish a logistic arm that we call Avon Oil Limited. They have over 100 trucks that convey our products. Nobu Igu is our newest baby. A lot of products coming out. We have chocolate, choco pops, choco cubes, and a lot of products so as to ensure that we add value rather than taking this product out in raw form. Today, we are able to say confidently that John Vent Industry is moving Nigeria from scarcity to food security. Thank you, and God bless you.
He has just spoken wonderfully about what John Vent is doing, and this is several things, which I would like to recite to all of us here. He said that, and very crucially, that if we add value, right, we would not only empower farmers, but we will create jobs and would actually boost food affordability and accessibility. And I would like to give him a round of applause for that. He also mentioned that they're making farming more attractive to the youth. Now, do not let us lose sight of the conversation here. It's actually moving, Nigeria from scarcity to food security. And the young people amongst us have that significant role to play in ensuring that we can actually get there. This is still the future of agriculture, and we know that we young people are the future of food security in Nigeria. And it is with that that I will be calling up the first panel session, which is the future-proofing Nigeria's food security. And I'll be calling on the moderator, Bountiful Atafo, who is the founder and managing director of Alan Green Limited. I'll just read out a brief profile of him. Just 1 second. Bountiful. Okay, so Bountiful is the next generation leader in agricultural sector with over a decade experience in agri-tech and in business. As the managing director of Alan Green Limited, he has overseen over $2 million in investments across mechanization and fertilizer value chains, driving agricultural transformation and policy recommendations. He is passionate about advancing agriculture in Africa, and he introduces global innovations to farmers while mentoring young talent. Bountiful is a strategic professional committed to shaping the future of agribusiness on this continent. Please make welcome Bountiful as he comes to moderate the first panel session. Welcome, Bountiful.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. It's a privilege to be here. And what is so fantastic, good morning, Mr. Frank. I saw you yesterday at the Impact Investor Summit. So what is very amazing about today's conference is that there are actually real farmers in the building. So put your hands together for yourself. At least I know almost, so many people in the room. So that shows us that we're doing the real work. Thank you, BusinessDay. So our panel is an interesting one today because we have a lot of professionals who are leading at the forefront. We have very great thought leaders in the building that will share with us the values that they have garnered working closely with farmers. So let's make welcome Mr. Kola Masha. Thank you very much. So Kola Masha is the Managing Director of Babangona, a social enterprise transforming smallholder farmers into successful entrepreneurs by leveraging innovative technology, supporting over 2,000 smallholders and creating more than 350,000 jobs to reduce poverty and violence in northern Nigeria. Previously, he was Managing Director at the Notori Group subsidiary, leading its commercial strategy across West and Central Africa and raising $130 million in equity. With extensive experience in corporate finance, business development, and public policy, he has worked with GE, Notori, and Abiomed, and served as senior advisor to Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture. As the first leader of a for-profit social enterprise to win the Scholar Award for Social Entrepreneurship, Kola continues to drive economic growth and stability through agriculture in Africa. You're welcome, Mr. Kola. Yeah, so the next person to join our panel is Mr. John Alamu, the Group Managing Director of John Vance Group. Please put your hands together. Mr. John Alamu is the founder and Group Managing Director of John Vance Industry. With over a decade of experience in agribusiness, he works with international organizations like IIT and IFDC, expose gaps in agricultural input access and market connectivity, leading him to establish John Vance in 2014. Under his leadership, John Vance has grown into a global agricultural and manufacturing company, leveraging technology and innovative finance to support over 60,000 smallholder farmers in assessing finance and markets. It's good to have you here, Mr. John. So the next on our panel will be my friend and my brother, Femi Adekoya, a champion. How well he does. So Mr. Femi Adekoya is the founder and managing director at Integrated Area Precision, a company that is driving drone technology with over 12 years of experience advancing digital and precision farming solutions in Africa. He is the founder of Integrated Area Precision company, where he trains professionals in UAVs, GIS, AI, and remote sensing. Recognized for his contributions, he has received prestigious awards, including the Royal African Award and the APNI Precision Agriculture Young Scientist Award. He serves as Nigeria's country representative for ISPA and the West Africa representative of AAPA, a Commonwealth scholar. He holds degrees from the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, and Harper Adams University, UK. As a thought leader, speaker, and co-author of Drone Professional 3, Femi is committed to driving innovation and youth inclusion in agriculture across Africa. Thank you for being on the panel, Femi. The next on our panel is Oluwatosin Ojo, partner, Sahel Capital. Can we put our hands together, please? So Tosin Ojo is a partner at Sahel Capital, agribusiness managers, a leading agribusiness private equity in sub-Saharan Africa, with over 17 years of experience in private equity, financial advisory, asset management, and investment research. She leads Sahel Capital's private equity team, overseeing fundraising, deal origination, and value creation for portfolio companies. Prior to Sahel Capital, she founded and led Vibohet, a financial advisory firm, and held key roles at Chapel Hill, Denham, Cardinal Stone, Vetiva, and Stanbic IBTC Bank. Thank you for joining us. And last but not least, we have the CEO of TrackTrack, Mr. Godson Uhurogo. I hope I said that well. So Godson Uhurogo is an agribusiness and private sector development expert with over 17 years of experience in climate smart agriculture and market systems. As CEO of TrackTrack Mechanization Services, he drives agricultural mechanization in Nigeria through technology and innovative financing. Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to have a wonderful, wonderful session. So I hope that you came with your notepads and biros to take note of what this professionals will say today. The topic for our discussion today is future-proofing Nigeria's food security. So as we know, Nigeria has a major challenge. I was on TV yesterday to speak about this issue, and it's very scary reality that we live in Nigeria today. In the chairman's address, he mentioned and insinuated that food has now become a luxury for most people in Nigeria. Thinking about today's issues, we need to look at the future, and that is why we have brought this very skillful panel to discuss these issues. So by all means, I'll start by my left, I'm sorry, across the space. We know that Babangona has been at the forefront.
Demand Dangote's entire fertilizer output, 3 million metric tons alone for fertilizer, for maize, and catapult Nigeria to the world's 4th largest maize producer, just behind Brazil. Only 7 replicate the very successful Babangona model in 3 simple steps. So, in closing, the simpleness with credit for essential agro inputs, quickly doubling their productivity and profitability, fixes broken value chains, accelerates growth, and unlocks economic potential.
Particularly, she's a partner at Sahel Capital, a company focused on financing businesses. With all the wealth of experience you have in the finance industry, I mean, from Chapel.
By smallholder farmers, that's at the production level, right? By smallholder farmers, that's at the production level, right? For them to produce, there are inputs that should go in, and we've talked about seed sizes, and we talked about a number of these, and they produce what happens. The problem we're having when we talk about food security, it's not really about just fixing one part of the system. After they produce, what happens? Then you go to the midstream part of the value chain, where you have distribution. But before you get to that distribution, there must be storage. There must be storage because agricultural activity is seasonal. Even if we do there must be storage because agricultural activity is seasonal. Even if we do irrigation fed farming, you're not going to still, in most cases, not produce all year round. And for most cash crops, there are annual crops, seasonal products. So you're going to have to process and distribute. And then you get to the end of the value chain, which is retail, the point where you and I and the average person on the street should be able to assess that food material in its processed form, in its raw form, at a reasonable price. That is the problem that we face. We need a system approach. There's so many agencies, so many parties involved in this complex system that is called agriculture. We have the seed people, the plant breeders, the seed council. We have the people in charge of irrigation, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, the river basin authorities. We have the farmers. Then we have processors, right? We have companies in logistics and distribution and storage. And then you have the retailers. The value chain is broken. So I'm a financier and I finance agribusiness, but we're going to have a frank talk. Just financing will not solve the problem. If we don't crack the systemic dislocations, the problems that just throwing more money at cannot fix. That's the first thing. So we need to find the interlinkages where all of these ecosystem players can work together rather than being friction for each other in a way that what you do helps the other person and helps the other part on the ecosystem, and we can scale. And that is how we can future-proof Nigeria's food security. We've been having this conversation over and over and over. We're saying the same thing. We need to figure out what really are we doing right and come together and adopt a system approach. On financing, first, I'm an investor. And whenever I'm giving financing, the first thing is my money coming back and what's the returns. It's a very, very unemotional conversation because the providers of capital have to see that the money would come back and it will come back with returns. It's very simple. Agriculture, the different parts of the value chain of agriculture requires different kinds of financing. That's the first thing. The kind of financing you give for primary production is not the same you give to build silos or to build warehouses or it's not the same kind of financing, or to build a plant. It's not the same that you give for companies that maybe just need processing and distribution. So that's the first thing. So if you want to assess financing, the first question is, where do you sit in the system? What if you're a farmer? Maybe the best way is to be part of a farming ecosystem cooperative, so that as a group you have better access to financing than as individuals. Because when an institution look at you as an individual farmer and they try to look at your risk and a lot of agroclimatic issues, maybe there'll be excess flooding, maybe your seed will not even, you have good harvest, it makes it more difficult for you to access financing. So you should belong to a cooperative, a group, or work with companies and processors as part of their value chain, so that through their value chain you are able to access financing. That's at the production level. When you get to the midstream, as a company, there are different kinds of financing, and there are different institutions that would provide those kind of financing. But what is clear is, if we want to finance agriculture, we need different capital providers to come to the table and create a financing solution or vehicle that is suitable. Bank rate now is about 30-something%. That's not viable. Yes, that's not viable for the sector. Exactly. But we have impact investors that are in the sector that perhaps might be interested in taking much lower return. And then when all of those capital providers come together and is blended together, then we have greater pool of capital to, for farmers or agribusinesses or processors, whoever they are in the value chain, for them to access financing.
Thank you so much, Tosin. We are blown away. We problem. We need to sit down to have more discussions. We need to build an ecosystem. And part of the work that we do at Alana Green is to group farmers into cooperatives while we provide mechanization services to them. So it's important for farmers to take note that you cannot work in silos. The value chain is not, the agricultural sector is not built for you to work in silos. And I'll give you a real life example. That's my friend and partner, Femi Adekoya. What we do in providing mechanization, Femi supports our work with drone technology to spray immediately, right? So it's a smoother process for the farmer that we're providing that. So taking the discussions a little bit further, the financing issues have been addressed, but Tosin did mention something that was very important, that the risk is there because you can wake up one morning and find out that the seeds you planted didn't grow, or the flood was too much. We're talking about climate challenges, right? I hope we're following the conversation. Now, climate is hitting Nigeria, and it's hitting Nigeria hard. In 2024, in January, we were growing dry season rice. We had a dam, water was, one morning the whole water disappeared. We can't see what happened to the waters, till today. So we need to look at these issues. So John, I know that your organization, John Vent, is doing so much around that. One of your portfolio companies did a presentation. Thank you for a presentation earlier. He also highlighted climate risk, and I know that you're working around that work in this space to manage climate challenges coming to farmers. How are you doing this job, and how can we learn insights to further mitigate the challenges posed to us by the climate?
Thank you very much, moderator. At John Vent, I think it's kind of different for us because we have 12 factories in Nigeria, more than that outside the country. Our commodities, cashew, soya bean, etc. It's no news that 2 years ago, cocoa prices were around $2,000. And there was a surge. Today, cocoa price is around $8,000. Yeah. Thanks to climate, thanks to climate changes. It's a global challenge. It has affected crops, not just in Nigeria, globally. It has reduced production. And what do you see? How farmers are earning more money, but chocolate is becoming very expensive. But of course, not at the scale Mr. Kola, handles at a much more lower scale, because maize is one of the raw material we use for some of our products We have Cocoa Pops, Choco Cubes and all.
Okay.
The way climate plays in different, and I think, to address climate, someone used, I think the MD of Oluji said, not a political solution. I think we need to start looking into AI, I'm happy to hear about what you guys are doing, with mechanical application of, using drones for spraying and all. But then in the West, AI is used to predict planting cycles. AI, is used to practical climate issues. All right. As it's difficult for a country like Nigeria and other African countries to balance, food security with trade deficits. Because, when you talk about climate, and to plant more trees in agriculture, you need to do more of the cash crops, cocoa, cashew, oil palm, and all, which may not necessarily be beneficial to, the food crop system. So that takes us to topics around, our land tenure system, mixed farming system, and I think one of the greatest threats we have to agriculture is not, there's an exclusion of youth. Today it's easier to be an Instagram CEO, selling shoes, wigs, dancing, a TikTok, is more attractive than to be a farmer. This an agricultural event. How many people here are really farmers? And financial institutions don't understand agribusiness. If they do, 37% is not the right pricing for agribusiness.
Yes.
Over 60% of Nigerians are youths. They are not farmers. They are not doing production. She talked about value chain. Does really mean you plant. People could do chocolate processing. People could do, I'm happy to see the CEO of Cattle Foods, who is doing very great in value addition, a very good mentor to young people. If youths are more involved, there will be more innovations that can help us as a continent to address, climate issues, and I think the entire challenges in the agri space in general.
Thank you so much for that wonderful insight. Thank you. So we have seen that the farming population is growing every day in Nigeria. A lot more people are aware of what farming is today as opposed to before. Young leaders are coming into agriculture, and we're pushing vibrantly for it because we see it as a comparative advantage. But it's still all on paper till it comes to precision agriculture, technologies about using thematic tech to predict weather conditions, crop conditions, and all those things. How is adoption with smallholder farmers, and what are the pathways that we can adopt to drive this technology across board?
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Bountiful. Well, at Integrated Area Precision, like you said, we are technologies, one of which is drone technology, and we also incorporate the use of artificial intelligence into our workflow. And what are we achieving? Focused on the production side of things, that's on the farm, working with real farmers on the field who have the real pain, all right, of producing our food. And we know that the challenges that these farmers face are enormous, complex, and we at Integrated Area Precision, we thought that we can only use this technology to help them assuage these challenges and make farming better and allow them to. I do say that primarily every farmer goes to the farm to make profit. Food security is secondary.
Yeah.
Do we all agree to that?
Femi, you're causing a confusion here. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, this is a conference, right? We have to hit the nail on the head.
Say the facts, please. Go ahead, Femi.
So I said that to say the motivation behind what we do is to solve, right? To give value, right? Value at the end of the day, money to farmers, which would then result to food security, right? So we use drone technology to help them protect their crops, which is, we call it crop protection. To farmers, their crops are not just leaves. They are not just foliage, beautiful farm, right? That's their own investment. That's their own effort. So how can we use technology to quickly tackle pests and diseases at scale, nip them in the bud, pests and diseases, at the shortest time possible? Farmers with the technology they currently have, the smallholder farmers, they use knapsack sprayer, right? And that could take them a whole day to complete 1 hectare. Let's take a rice farmer, for example, right? It could take you a whole day to complete 1 hectare of yeah? Or anyone, yeah. But with drone technology that we use for farmers, within just 5-10 minutes, that you can be able to apply your crop protection product with precision and in the context of sustainability, right? And this would also help farmers with the overexposure to hazardous chemicals on their field. And not only that, talking about AI, integration of AI and drone technology, we know that pests and diseases, when they infect, let's say, in a day with drone technology, right? And they're able to in a day with drone technology, right? And they're able to do this. So that's what we are introducing. And as regards acceptability, we have been in this business for the past 3 years now, and I can tell you boldly that there was no any time that we've gone either for demonstration, because one of our go-to-market strategies, we go demonstrate to farmers and we take it to them so that they can know this is a new technology and we want to introduce it to you. None of them has ever said, I don't think this is not working, I don't like this thing. No, there is that acceptance. They see it working. The next thing they will say is, I wish the government can help us to subsidize how to use this thing, or our youth getting it and helping us, with this application, right? So that's what we say. And what are we going to do? Just like she rightly mentioned about financing, and what we are promoting is cluster farming, because one of the limitations to our solution is that fragmented smallholder farming system that does not, and I know possibly, I know that CEO of Tractor might also be experiencing such, of course, right? So how can we aggregate them, not just cooperative? No, because people can be in cooperative and just be scattered around. And the model of people giving them seeds and all that would work with still the same technology that they are using. But how can we have a dedicated environment, right, where we can be able to, we know that this environment, these guys are good with cassava. So 5,000 hectares, we know that this is the location. What is it's not just only for drone technology, it's more of an ecosystem.
An entire value
chain, the value chain. So we can layer technology over technology, innovation over innovation, interventions over intervention in that same environment. Yes, and this is what we are doing. We started that in Niger State, right? And we are working with other government and bodies to be able to provide them with these, our solutions. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Femi. So it is very important that we start to clusterize farmers. We cannot overstate the importance. Like Tosin highlighted, is an ecosystem. Everybody, somebody's input is another person's output. So it will be easier to reach farmers. But who would know more about clusterization than someone who plays in a very difficult industry that we're experiencing? And I refer to this, the CEO of Track, who's pushing mechanization services. So by all means, tell us how Track is driving mechanization services across Nigeria. What are we seeing as per impact? And what are the financing challenges as well? Because we have finance experts in the room. Honorable Commissioner, there's a note here about how the government can help farmers. I'm sure that you're taking note. So we need the government to hear our complaints as well, as the CEO of Track take us through their journey working with Nigerian farmers.
All right, thank you, Bountiful, and good morning, everybody. In 2017, we commissioned a little research survey to determine the number of tractors we have in Nigeria. The number that came back to us was difficult to swallow. So whenever you see that 5,000 everywhere, it was something we did. I think we even have less now. Half of those tractors are actually now dead, all right, packed in bushes and in warehouses. As of 2010, US had 4.2 million tractors. Nigeria has one of the lowest tractor density everywhere.
I think data says somewhere around 0.25 horsepower per hectare, as against 1 point. Crazy.
So we say we have about 7 tractors per 10,000
farmers
square kilometer farmland in Nigeria. Let me ask, when was the last time you saw a tractor? When was the last time? In operation?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
I just came in from a training in Kefi where we are training about 2,422 MSPs for this year and another 2,000 next year. MSPs, those are mechanization service providers, they include operators, booking and hiring agents, mechanics, and a whole lot of other players in the ecosystem. In my class, I asked them, how many tractors do you have in your local government? Oh, you need to be in that class. The average has been 3. They say, okay, yes, 3. One of them said, those 3 actually with the local government chairman. They said 3. There's a big problem. How do we begin to change these things? Again, we can have this question after this space about data. Next month, we are commissioning another research to even understand the state of the ecosystem. We need to have more information. How many tractors do we have? What do we do to improve the situation? Again, there's this data that says that Nigeria has about 80 million hectares arable land. Only about 30 million is cultivated. What's up with the other 50 million? Why are they not cultivated? What's happening? And you know that. If you fly across some regions in this country, you see farmlands everywhere. There are issues, but it's not for today. We're going to it another day. How do we improve the situation of mechanization in Nigeria? Okay, let me say this. The average man, about 10 able-bodied men will work 1 hectare, which again, the way we describe it to smallholder farmers and rural farmers is 1 hectare is like the size of a football field, but then it's bigger than a football field. 10 able-bodied men will work that land for a day, 8 hours a day, to actually plow it. 1 hectare. But do you know that a 75 horsepower will do 5 of that in a day? But humans will do 10. And they earn like maybe 5,000 or 10,000 a day breaking their backs. And then I joke with them, I say, the animal drought plows, you know, when you put plows on cows, have you ever tasted any of those cows? Very hard. After 3 or 3 years, you cannot eat them. You know, right? Very hard. And I tell you, imagine what that is doing to your body. Oh, they go like, oh no, God forbid. But that's the implication. You cannot even wake up the following morning to stretch your body. But machines can do that. 4 goals for us in Track. Number 1, accessibility. Okay? How do we connect smallholder farmers to tractors? How? Is it possible for them to have access? Is it possible? It is very, very much possible. Okay? Number 2, we say availability. There are 2 different things. I've seen tractors parked in warehouses. Are they accessible? Yes. Are they available? No. Yes. Yeah. Accessibility, availability. Number 3, affordability. Can they pay for it? Can they pay for the service? A 75 horsepower, 102 horsepower tractor will cost you about 120,000 for 1 hectare to plow it. Can they pay? And then I do this cash flow mathematics every day. Anywhere I go, I'm doing cash flow. And I tell them, how much will it cost you to hire people to do the farm? And how much will it cost you to hire the tractor? It's actually cheaper to hire a tractor. But because they don't do the maths, they therefore think it's cheaper to pay humans to work your land. It's way cheaper to hire the tractor. So when you do that, everybody then wants to use tractors, but do you have the tractors available? They are not available. Number 4, capacity. Okay? Every stakeholder, everybody in the ecosystem, do they have the capacity to actually understand what is required? Farmers don't actually, the truth is, farmers don't know what they need. They just want tractor, right? Is it a harrow you need? Is it a ridger? Is it I just want tractor? The same thing I tell them about fertilizer. It is not the same requirement for every land. You don't need NPK here, but give me fertilizer. You don't need urea there, but give me no. You need to test your soil first. Some don't even need nothing. Just leave it. But again, how do we do this? How do we get them to understand what they require? How do we get the various operators, the various people, everybody in the ecosystem, okay, to support? How do we train mechanization service providers? How do we train booking and hiring agents? It takes about 2 months to adequately train an operator. Driving a tractor is like driving a Dangote trailer. It's not the same. It's not like driving a car. Oh, somebody told me last week, said a tractor is an angry machine. It's very angry. I told some young ladies, so about half of the people who are training in Kefi and Kaduna are women. Climbed on this tractor and, oh no, they don't want. But it's an angry machine. It's crying, it's zooming. But we need to train people to be able to manage these things. Okay, how are we doing it? We are leveraging technology in TrackTrack. We have a solution called TrackTrack Plus, connecting farmers to owners of tractors. Oh, the story is huge. There are people that have tractors that would like to give it out. There are people that need tractors, but they are not in the same location. How do you bring them together? There's a problem with land fragmentation. By the way, let me quickly say that. It's cheaper for me to service 2 farmers who are close by than one who is far away. It costs more to even transport that tractor that way. And because of that, I don't want to do it. Why should I travel from here to Ibadan to go and service 2 hectares? How much will it cost me to move it? It will cost me a lot more. There's a problem with land fragmentation. I was with pressmen yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah, we were all talking, and they said, how do we even make farmers how do we start clustering them? So that it's easier. You don't have to say, because it's my father's land, I have to farm it. No, it's not compulsory. Can you find a farm close to somebody else so that we can properly service you? All right? You don't need to go far away. It's making it very difficult for us to provide you service. There are 10 farmers that are all scattered all over. We need to cluster them together, like you said. Okay, we need to make it there. Sorry, 1 second. We need to make it easier for us to be able to provide you service. So we are using our technology to do that. Number 2, not just technology. See, I have been long in the mechanization space to know that policy, government has a massive role to play. Whether your machines are coming in as semi-knocked down or completely knocked down, we have to, it's a story for another day, we have to play in that space. It has to be cheaper. Do you know how much some of the big major equipment manufacturers sell their tractors in Nigeria? Do you know how much? It's very expensive. Number 3, we are supporting local fabrication. Between now and the end of next year, and with the support of the private sector and some development agencies, we are fabricating a 3-wheeler called Tractor. I know some of you have seen that tractor before. Fabricated in Ilorin by Incam. I'm sorry, Incam supported this technology, fabricated by Bespoke. We are, oh, you can clap here. And government agencies, I give it to Incam. Wonderful. Incam, yes, I give it to them. Doing very, very well. Okay, so they are fabricating about 565 units of this 3-wheeler, all right, that these mechanization service providers will have between this year and the end of next year. Okay, so we are very big on local fabrication, and it can be cheaper. It's cheaper, actually. It's cheaper. I don't want to go there, but it's cheaper. Then, lastly, to everyone in this room, how do we improve the situation of the average farmer in Nigeria? I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. It was very insightful, the things you were sharing, and I wish we had more time, but I've been advised that we have Architect Ibrahim Kabiru, who's the National President of All Farmers Association of Nigeria. Can you hear me, sir? He'll be joining us online. Can you hear me, sir? Good to see you, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. So we know the work that you do at All Farmers Association of Nigeria, supporting farmers to have access to finance, inputs, as well as collecting data and working with the government to to improve the state of our food security. We would like to know, sir, how are you helping farmers to support mechanization as well as input, and how are you coming up with policy recommendations for the government to be able to navigate the country as it is in a food security crisis? Can you hear us, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. I've listened to most of the contributions and I find them very invaluable. The AFAN is working lockstep with everyone in the ecosystem, the food security ecosystem, agriculture ecosystem. But we do a lot of advocacy with government. We look at the policies, we take part in some contributions to the policy, and I can assure you that we have very lofty policies in Nigeria, but we have a dearth of implementation tools and some monitoring and evaluation. But I would like to speak to, future-proofing food security in Nigeria. Now, we need to also future-proof security. Insecurity is a very serious threat factor to the attainment of food security in Nigeria, especially in those parts that are experiencing a lot of abductions and kidnappings and all that. We also need to do future-proofing for the energy sector. Most of the people who spoke about processing and all that have to create their own energy. And that is quite expensive. And of course, this will translate into the cost of whatever is produced for Nigerians. We need to also future-proof the availability of inputs and all those things that we use. We need to have a sustainable subsidy on every aspect of agriculture. This is what happens in the first world. In the United States, for instance, you just wake up, you buy whatever you want to buy at a very good rate because you are contributing to the food system of the country, and that's why we will have sustainable food security in that place and several others that talk about having attained food security. So in Nigeria, what we should do different from what we have been doing, because there was a time I looked at the Nigeria situation from 1914 up to this moment. I've looked at the first republic, I've looked at the second republic, and now the third republic, and I've seen so many mistakes that we have done. There are some that were made by commission and some by omission, but better now than never to also look at the people, that is Nigerians as a whole, that we must work in cahoot with government, wherever government is supposed to create the enabling environment, and to have some level of trust with government, with what government is doing, and to be able to ask questions to the people, saddled with the responsibility of discharging those responsibilities. And for the farmer to really be part of the monitoring and evaluation of these policies and to talk freely about them. I've seen the last speaker was talking about mechanization, and that is very, very important because in mechanization, what you do is you look for mechanical advantage, place human power with machine power, and you get more from doing that. A place that would actually be worked upon by 100%, maybe a single tractor might do it in a few days. And that's how to optimize productivity. And beyond that, the food system means productivity or production, processing, distribution, marketing, and even consumption. So in Nigeria, everybody has to work towards making us food secure. Apart from, maybe just asking government to do this and do that, we must also play our own roles. I'm sure in a labor market or somewhere in Lagos, you go to the shops are stock filled, but they are not filled by government. They are filled by the people wanting to do business on there. The government will create the enabling environment for you to be able to thrive. I'm happy that the people doing the cocoa business are able to add cocoa to make chocolates, to make drinks and all that. Hitherto we used to export our cocoa in its primary form, and all these things, chocolate and all that, will be brought back and sold at a very high premium to us. And therefore, doing that, we will never be sufficient in some of these things. All of the countries in the world that are talking about food security really looked inwards to do what they have to do. But the enabling environment has to be right. In Nigeria, power, transportation, security, storages must be in the right place and in the right country to be able to get to that promised land. So my takeaways are about 4, and they are very broad, but they are definitely desirable. If you want to do any future proofing of food security in Nigeria, you must do future proofing of the energy sector. You must do future proofing of security, general security, and in fact, transportation. Now, I can tell you that you can get food security easily if what you produce in a region that has comparative advantage is taken to the places of need seamlessly without paying so much for transport and for multiple taxation. I used to be the president of Poultry Association of Nigeria. Most of us bought our day-old chicks from the southwest, and we live near Timbuktu. Overnight, they bring the day-old chicks, and we treat them for stress and all that, and we're able to manage quite a few. But in the process, we lose a lot of them due to stress and all that. Now, what we should do, and I was luckily in a meeting on issues bordering on distribution in Nigeria. There's a subcommittee now working on a committee on the high prices of food items. And it's very interesting that when I was there, I made a very disruptive contribution. When some people were looking at about 35 roads across the nation to be addressed for us to have similar distribution of food, I now ask the Minister of Agriculture whether it will be possible to build 10-kilometer roads in 2 months. Of course, the answer is no. So if you just address those roads and spend a lot of money, a lot of time doing those roads, the distribution system will still be a problem. But you can do something on the short term. Take, for instance, you have maize from Saminaka going to Away, and the trucks, the articulated vehicles taking the maize or corn will be equipped with sirens, just like when the governor of Lagos State wants to move around Lagos, in spite of the hold up, his sirens will be blown and the roads will be cleared and all that. We should do that
for food,
for the articulated vehicles.
very correct, sir. Yes, that's correct.
Yes, and then again, in the long term, you should build roads and have specific lanes for food distribution. This is what happens if you follow the New Jersey Turnpike, for instance. From New Jersey, even from New York to New Jersey and New Jersey up to Philadelphia, the roads or the lanes are like 8 on both sides, and 2 of them on each side is dedicated to transport of food and vital or important items. They move seamlessly and go to the place of need from place of production. We should do the same in Nigeria, and we should also establish wagons, refrigerated wagons on our trains to be able to help in distributing some of these things, especially even cows. When you take cows from Katsina State, for instance, to Lagos, and you take them in these articulated vehicles that spend 1 week, they go there malnourished. In fact, they arrive there at home. But if you put them in trains and or trucks that have easy passage and all that, they will come to Lagos. Once they come up, they will start jumping all about, and they will be very good for meat. And then, of course, the thing that is very humorous that my expert in mechanization mentioned was when you have this oxen-driven plows.
Yeah.
Once you subject the animal to that for a few years, its muscles become hardened, and its meat becomes not so palatable.
And
then, of course, you want a lot of
hello, sir.
doing that. Yes, sir.
Sorry to interject. So because we're pressed for time, we'll just have you do a 1 minute roundup of what you think today we need to do to get into action of future proofing immediately. So say the Minister of Agriculture were here.
In the short term, what I prefer for Nigeria is identify probably 100 farmers, including small, medium, and large, and then for the federal government and the subnationals to come out and honestly support them to produce optimally on a regional basis. I will elaborate this. If, for instance, in the southwest of Nigeria, the most important staple is cassava, get a group of people, a critical mass to produce cassava for that enough for the people to have enough staple food. Do not say that it's right that everybody should do in Nigeria. That will not give sustainable food security. So do it region by region, identify the real farmers, support operations, even processors. Government will support processors by making things a lot easier for them so that they do whatever they do is optimally. That is the way to go, and that is how Brazil got to where it is. If you remember, a few years ago, and I see that my successor in poultry industry is even going to give us a talk. He knows. Brazil, about 2008, when I was president, was looked upon as a developing country, or even poor. Yeah. Today, we are looking at Brazil to bring in technology here, to bring in investment and all that. And the government is clamoring, and we have been having meetings, anticipating that and all that.
Thank you very
Brazil did not get people to come into Brazil.
Sir, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
People like
I'm so sorry, sir. We will need to cut off so we can take other people as we are pressed for time. It was very fantastic. Please put your hands together for him. So we're out of time, but because we cannot leave without tapping from the knowledge of these fantastic professionals here, we're going to take a concise 1 minute wrap up. In the order we went, so Kola and then Tosin, of course, and John, as well as Femi, and then rounded up by the Mechanization General. We want to hear today, what is the government going to do to future-proof the sector? 1 minute, please.
So the key to success is simple: technology. Over the last decade and a half, we've built a white-labeled agri-finance as a service ecosystem built by Africa's largest tech team, dedicated smallholder farmers. We've got over 80 team members that have built really an integrated AI, biometrics, credit scoring, ERP, predictive analytics to create a seamless, transparent, and highly efficient system that's enabled us to deploy $250 million in financing to small farmers with 1% default. So very simply, for three parties, what they can do: banks can partner to deploy this white label agri-finance as a service through their customers, their clients, their agro-processing clients. Agro-processors can build a CAFE management team in their organization that just simply and easily enable them to source higher quality, lower cost produce, directly increasing their profitability. And the government, they can drive adoption of these types of platforms, this AFAS platform, through the nation's banks to drive food security, economic growth through a scalable and proven model.
Thank you so much, Colonel Security. So, Tosin, 1 minute, please.
Yeah, I think everyone talks government, so my closing word is on government. And the fact is, government resources are limited. So I think, first, government needs to work together, subnational and federal government. That's one. Number two, government needs to start thinking about what's the best way to use their power. And I think the best way is to facilitate and convene actors in a way that we can adopt an integrated approach to the problem. So you bring everybody on the table, align the incentives for everybody, such that then people use their private capital and invest in the system to solve the problem. That's the best way government can deploy its resources. Government should stop being an actor. Yeah. Government should use their ability and their power to convene actors, align incentives, provide environment support, provide guarantees, and let private sector do what they do best, and they'll solve the problem.
Thank you, Tosin. So, John, let's hear your closing words.
Personally, while it's always easy to always yab government, but I'm not convinced, government is the only entity that has a role to play. Although, of course, we need government, to give us best policy. We need government to give us money. We need government to give us wife. We need government to give us, we need government to give us everything they can give us. But I think we need to crack agricultural credit. We need to crack it. And I don't think it's a one cap fits all. Some of the commodities grown in the northern Nigeria are commodities, within 3 to 6 month cycle. The kind of finance structure that needs is different from, commodities in the southwest, cassava that is 1 year, or cocoa that is 3 years, or cashew that is. So I think there needs to be a very serious stakeholder engagement when it comes to cracking agricultural credit. Well, if you ask farmers, what problems do you have? They tell you we need money, all right? But then if you meet banks to finance them, every bank needs a collateral, which is the second point I would talk about, all right? Except you want farmers
20 seconds, John.
So we need to look at our credit. We need to review our credit guarantee scheme, insurance for farmers and farms, and lastly, technology. Extension agents today are supposed to be 1:400 or 1:1000, but then it's 1:10,000. Good information are not, skidding down to the farmers, and I think that would be my last comment.
Thank you so much. Maybe 1 minute.
All right.
Shoot.
Okay, thank you so much. So I would say that we should, aside from what they've mentioned, we should prioritize scale. We cannot keep doing the same thing and expect the same result. Scale is a game in agriculture. And why did I say this? We should shift our focus from overemphasis on smallholder to growing smallholder to become a major actor, right, into bigger, because agriculture is a game of number. And if we want to leverage on technologies that we have mentioned, we have to still go back to scale. We need to take it serious. And this is not just about 2 kg fertilizer and all that. Thank you.
Femi.
Thank you very much. Everybody has said it. We need to collaborate. Government needs to bring every stakeholder to the table. And we need to mean it. We need to be very, very serious. We need to mean this. It should go beyond just talking about it. We should be deliberate. Then lastly, whether you're a private investor or angel investor, can we increase the number of tractors available in Nigeria to 200,000 in the next 3 years? It's possible. Thank you.
Okay, so to round up and just to put a voice to what the beautiful panelists have said is we need to leverage on youth. Nigeria's median age today is 19 years. That says we have farmers for at least another 35 years. If I'm 19 today, so let's say 20 today, it means that I'll be active because we see most 55 years and all that running about. I'll be active for another 35 years farming. So that's 35 years of growing abundantly, growing prosperity, making Nigeria food secure, leveraging technology. If we're serious about what we're doing, and I say this authoritatively because I read the AFDB 10-year strategy document, and the entirety of that document is leveraging their strategy on youth. If the African Development Bank that has far more data, far more reach than you and I are banking, their strategy on youth, we need to exploit what we have in Nigeria's youth. We need to talk. Honorable Commissioner, you inspire us. We know your work. We're familiar with the corporate farmers and all the people that you work with. We see you on the social space, and that is what we're talking about, technology leveraged by youths. We want more young people involved in this. We're passionate, we're frustrated, and I'm speaking from a standpoint. I'm frustrated about what the country's agriculture is today. And we want to see change, we want to make that happen. Thank you for having us, Business Day.
Yeah, one moment. I would like to call on Mr. Frank to take a picture with the panelists before they actually. Thank you very much. A lot have been said today. A lot have been said, from agriculture is a volume game to the fact that we need to move from small older farmers to large older farmers, and the fact that mechanization doesn't just only have to be accessible, but it also has to be available, and also that farmers are interested in making profit. Let's always have that in mind too. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause to our panelists. It was a wonderful session. All right, thank you very much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, sir. While the panelists were having their session, we had the opportunity of having, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, ably represented by Mr. Olajide I'm sorry about that. Let me call you very well. Mr. Olajide Oladamolami McKelvin Agunloye. Please, let's give him a round of applause. Thank you. Okay, so just before we move, I'd like to call on, to have a photo session. First session will be with the representative of the Honorable Commissioner, the representative of the Honorable Minister, and the representative of Lagos State Governor with Commissioner of Agriculture, Mr. Frank. Please come up stage so we can have that photo session. Please, let's give them a round of applause, please. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Please give them a round of applause. Mr. Frank, I'll ask you to stay. Yes, another one. So I'll be calling on Mr. Bamikoli Sunday and Mr. John Adamu, as well, Alamu, and then also, the MD John Vent, that is Omotosho Caroline. She is in the building. Please to come upstage with the publisher to take a picture. Yes, that's one. I also want to call on representatives of Nestle. Are they here? And Butler, our sponsors for today. Representative of Nestle, Butler, Track. Please come up stage. Let's take a picture. Yes. As well as Sahel Consulting too. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes. No, that's.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Right about now, I would like to welcome our keynote address. For our second keynote address, and with a standing ovation, I would like to call, please, everybody, please be upstanding as I call on the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, ably represented by Mr. Olajide Oladamolami. Please, let's give the Honorable Minister a round of applause. Please, with a standing ovation, please, let's keep clapping till he gets to the stage.
Thank you for the honor. Good afternoon, the representative of the Lagos State Government, the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture in Lagos State, the publisher of BusinessDay. I would have to stand on the well-established protocols that I'm sure have been existing before I came into this auditorium. I bring greetings from the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, CON, who is unavoidably absent this afternoon. He would have loved to be here. I must emphasize that because we're very, very particular about this function since we got this invitation in January. But of course, as a member of the Federal Executive Council, there are so many state activities that oftentimes override, however important it might be on their part. When there are calls from the presidential villa, you have to just accede. Thank you very much. I'm not wearing his shoe because it's actually too big for me at this point, but I have the privilege and the honor of his authority to bring to you his keynote speech for this very auspicious gathering. And I read, here's the text of a keynote speech by Senator Abubakar Kyari, CON, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, on the occasion of the BusinessDay Future of Agriculture Conference 2025, held on 27 March 2025 at the Oriental Hotel, Victoria Island, Lagos. It is with a profound sense of responsibility and honor that I stand before you today as we accentuate the very central nature of food security, which is topmost on the agenda of His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, since the assumption of office over a year ago. Engagement and constructive dialogue stand as a critical component of our methodical and holistic efforts at shortening costs for the conceivable future of Nigeria's agriculture. Reflecting on my invitation to this gathering with a profound request that I be a keynote speaker and interesting on such an important topic as a theme, moving Nigeria from scarcity to food security, a topic critical to driving food availability in the country. Without missing words, this chosen topic is not only apt and timely, but also fundamental to our mission of ensuring food and nutrition security, economic prosperity, and sustainable development for Nigeria, on the imperative that agriculture remains our mainstay. I am elated to say that I'm particularly thrilled that this convocation is happening. Let me commend the leadership and the entire management of BusinessDay, as well as other co-sponsors and supporters of the BusinessDay Future of Agriculture Conference 2025. Special mention and recognition must be given to the government and the good people of Lagos State, our host, Our host, and to top leaders, policymakers, and industry stakeholders brought together by this conference to advance solutions that will fix problems plaguing the country's agricultural sector. On that strength, I make bold to say that our gathering here today is timely and a critical step in the right direction, as this will provide a veritable platform for experience sharing, knowledge exchange, and entrench, as well as further promote our collective quest for the development of agriculture in Nigeria. Engagement of this nature is critical to nation building because it has far-reaching implications for our nation's growth, prosperity, and well-being. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, has not left anyone in doubt about his administration's priority on food security, evident in unflinching support to the agricultural sector since the assumption of office, and further as encapsulated in the economic sustainability plan, engine on the sector as a key sector identified as a driving force for economic diversification to achieve food security. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and fellow stakeholders in the agricultural sector, Nigeria, Africa's largest economy, was at a crossroad. For decades, our economy has been heavily reliant on oil exports, leaving us vulnerable to fluctuations in global commodity prices. The COVID-19 pandemic and the ongoing Ukraine-Russia conflict have further highlighted the need for economic diversification and enhanced food security. Agriculture is a critical sector that has the potential to drive economic diversification and enhance food security in Nigeria. With over 80 million hectares of arable land, Nigeria has the potential to become a major player in global agricultural market. Our agricultural sector is already a significant contributor to GDP, accounting for over 25% of our national output. Despite its potential, Nigeria's agricultural sector faces several challenges, including low productivity. We know Nigerian farmers face significant productivity challenges, including limited access to improved seeds, to fertilizer, to irrigation and mechanization. Inadequate infrastructure, our rural road storage facility and markets are often in disrepair, making it difficult for farmers to get their products to market. Limited access to finance. Many Nigerian farmers lack access to credit, insurance, and other financial services, making it difficult for them to invest in their farms. Climate change. Nigerian agriculture is highly vulnerable to climate change, with changing weather patterns and increasing temperature affecting crop yields and livestock productivity. Pockets of insecurity, including the climate change-induced scenarios, especially in agrarian communities where agricultural activities are negatively impacted. Remarkably, to move Nigeria from scarcity to food security, we must adopt a multifaceted approach that addresses the root causes of scarcity and address sustainably availability, accessibility, and affordability of food commodities. We must address the challenges facing the sector and create an enabling environment for agricultural growth. And this will entail increasing agricultural productivity. We must invest in modern agricultural technologies, irrigation system, and extension services to enhance crop yields and livestock productivity. Improving agricultural infrastructure. We need to invest in rural roads, storage facilities, and markets to reduce post-harvest losses and improve market access. Promoting agricultural finance. We must develop innovative financial products and services to support smallholder farmers and agribusinesses. Enhance food processing and preservation, value addition in general. Now we need to invest in food processing and preservation technologies to reduce food waste and improve food availability. Foster public-private partnership. We must encourage collaboration between government, private sector, and civil society to drive agricultural growth and development. In recognition of the foregoing, since the inception of this administration, on the strength of the determination and commitment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, agriculture became an utmost priority, and by extension, food and nutrition security took a front burner under the renewed hope agenda of government. Notably, we have continued to allocate resources to and encourage investment in agricultural infrastructure. This includes rural roads, installing facilities, and markets to improve the efficiency and productivity of our agricultural sector. Unprecedented and unwavering commitment on the part of the federal government in agricultural finance has yielded the president scoring a first in the recapitalization of the Bank of Agriculture to the tune of 1.5 trillion, about $1 billion USD, which had never happened in the history of Nigeria before. To ensure that agriculture is adequately financed, even as we remain resolute in ensuring sustainable access to affordable credit, including through unlocking funding from commercial banks for smallholder farmers. Efforts are equally ongoing to strengthen the Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation to provide insurance cover and de-risk agricultural investment. These are far-reaching government programs and interventions towards attracting credit and other financial services for Nigerian farmers, including the development of innovative financial products and services. We are strongly determined to continue to enhance agricultural productivity through the adoption of improved seeds, fertilizers, and irrigation system, as well as the promotion of climate-resilient agricultural practices. It is heartwarming to note that the development of agricultural value chains to create jobs, stimulate economic growth, and enhance food security has remained a pivotal agenda of government in the agricultural sector, including agro-centric MSMEs. A typical example is the National Agricultural Growth Scheme and Agro Pockets, NAX-AP, that has so far revolutionized our intervention through ICT-verified platform-based deployment of inputs to smallholder farmers across the Federation in both wet and dry season farming cycles in a more secure farming environment, leveraging on the provision of agro rangers by the NSCDC. Since this government came on board, we have placed a very serious importance on private sector investment. Effectively, we have continued to encourage private sector investment in agricultural sector, including the development of public-private partnership and the promotion of foreign investment. On program and intervention of federal government that has enjoyed this renewed engagement and collaboration is the mechanization drive championed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR. 4 different mechanization programs are ongoing and are delivering appreciable milestones. Mention must be made of expansion of frontiers for strengthened engagements with development partners and multilateral bodies to facilitate funding and realign existing projects and programs to priorities, as well as bilateral agreements with nations and territories to explore comparative advantage and co-create mutually beneficial development agendas, including exchange and trade in agricultural input and commodities alike. It is right to say that by expanding its frontiers for strengthened engagement, Nigeria can access new funding opportunities, leverage international expertise, and promote agricultural trade and exchange to drive economic diversification and enhance food security. Ladies and gentlemen, you agree with me that moving Nigeria from scarcity to food security requires a coordinated and sustained effort from government at all levels, the private sector, and civil society. We must work together to address the challenges facing our agricultural sector, promote agricultural growth and development, and create a more prosperous and food secure future for all Nigerians. Thank you all, and God bless you.
Thank you, please. Let's give him a round of applause, please. Okay, I would ask us to actually give him a standing ovation Please, let's give him a round of applause and a standing ovation. Thank you very much. This is from the Office of the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security. Thank you. At this point in time, I would just briefly, without further ado, just call on our headline sponsors. That is a representative of John Vent, Amo Farms, Butler, Nestle, and Track. Just very briefly to take a picture, along with the Commissioner of Agriculture, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. And Special Advisor, thank you very much. Just very briefly to take another round of photographs this time. Yes. Please, let's give them a round of applause as they step forward. Thank you. Okay, do we have everyone here? Okay, all right. All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please let's give them a round of applause as they make their way to their seats. Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a wonderful event so far. It's been a wonderful, meeting. I'm sure that we've learned a lot, especially regarding the state of play for the Nigerian agricultural sector. And now we can move from scarcity to food security to abundance and, to eventual feeding the world. Just next on the agenda is a presentation by Dr. Ayola Odunton. But I'd like to give you just a bit of profile about the wonderful gentleman as he steps forward. Dr. Ayola Odunton is the Group Managing Director of Amo Farms, Archery Limited, and several other agribusiness ventures. He's a former national president of the Poultry Association of Nigeria, and he is deeply committed to veterinary science, food security, and poverty alleviation. Under his leadership, Amo Farms had pioneered the Noila dual-purpose bird, empowering over 1.4 million rural households across Nigeria and West Africa. His efforts in poultry farming innovation were recognized in the Harvard Business School case study. He has also launched the Natural Entrepreneurial Farmer Scheme, pardon my pronunciation of that, supporting over 6,000 poultry farmers nationwide. Dr. Odunton has received multiple awards for his contribution to the animal protein industry, and he holds a Doctor of Veterinary Science degree. Please let's give him a round of applause as he moves forward in presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'll make this very quick. I thank you very much for inviting me Business Day. We've had a long-standing relationship. I think you did this, started about 10 years ago, and I attended that program. I also was honored to get an award from you several years ago for work in this area. It's interesting. I was listening to the other panelists, and we're talking about 10 or 15 years of experience. I kind of felt old because I've been doing this 35 years now, and I guess it means, Frank, you understand what I mean. I'm very, very excited to see so many people in the audience, younger people taking over
leadership in this industry. And I want to encourage you, or you can't go wrong with it. This is the place to be. Because regardless of what we do as a country, Nigeria will not progress and prosper without taking agriculture seriously and putting it in the forefront of everything that we do. I've been asked to speak here and try and show the relationship between what companies like ours have done to try and help secure the future. So the presentation is going to center very much around what we have done as an organization to act as some kind of foundation or template to other individuals, other corporate organizations, and even government that want to move this narration forward. And we all know the statistics about 92 million Nigerians that lack protein. Now, it's embarrassing for us, for me, to go overseas and attend a conference where I'm wearing my high-powered suit and people come on stage and tell me that my country is the malnutrition capital of the world. It's very deflating personally and a bit of an embarrassment. So you're going uphill from there. You know, I think that has inspired us to try and make a certain difference in our sphere of influence. We, first of all, decided to focus on animal protein as a major fulcrum for whatever contributions we are going to make to food security in Nigeria. Next, please. So who are we? We're a group of companies that is involved in animal protein from one end to the other. So Amo Farm Zebra Hatchery is the #1 producer of day-old chicks in Nigeria. You will agree with me that day-old chicks form the very foundation for the poultry industry. And we're proud to say from our calculation that 1 in every 5 eggs consumed in Nigeria comes from our gene pool. We also, with research and development, developed the Noila, which I'll talk a little bit about later. Amo Farm Zebra Hatchery also has a ranch in Ogbomoso. It is very, very clear the relationship between security and cattle. And in trying to ensure food security, we developed a 700-acre ranch in Ogbomoso with technology we learned from Botswana about how they have solved the beef and milk problems there and what they are doing and what we can do as Nigeria to implement the same change. Quite honestly, the beef industry could be as profitable or even more profitable than the poultry industry. We just need to give it the right amount of attention. We also produce feed through Amobing. We produce ready to eat and ready to cook products of chicken, beef, fish, eggs, and we also farm the Atlantic Ocean for shrimp under Nadnudo Foods. Diversity Solutions Limited provides livestock health support services and also has a subdivision that manufactures veterinary pharmaceuticals in Nigeria. The reality of it is that we do not need to be so dependent on foreign companies for a lot of things. Trust me, when we started, that factory was less than the size of this podium, and right now it is producing veterinary pharmaceuticals that are used in other parts of Africa. Why do we need to be so foreign dependent? We can make significant, we just need to have the courage to do it. Next. So our integration is, we rely very, very heavily on Babanguna and companies like his to provide us inputs on maize and soya for the feed. We're a primary genetic company, so we're also able to produce the Noila. The Noila was developed entirely in Nigeria. Millions of dollars of research and development money was saved by us in developing the Noila. And there are only 4 companies in the world that have the genetics that we have, which was developed entirely in Nigeria. Of course, this dovetails into Amo Farm, and Amo Farm does the cattle, does the fish, the diversity I've already described. The Nadupreneur farmers are our outgrower system, and we have also used this in a way that is able to create wealth from thousands of farmers. And we have not scratched the surface yet, because that kind of clustering or cooperative system that has been developed over the years has generated incomes in several thousands households, and we have not even scratched the surface. Next. So innovation and market leadership, what sets AMO apart is the research and development. The food security. Let's take a look at the population of Nigeria. What is the percentage in the rural communities? What is the percentage in the urban communities? Yes, there is that shift, but the vast majority of Nigerians still live in rural or semi-urban. And when we're talking about malnutrition, a lot of times we're not talking about malnutrition for protein, for carbohydrates. Most time we eat carbohydrates till we're full. We're talking about protein. And therefore, the innovation that we have brought through the Noila will definitely move Nigeria from scarcity to food security, because 20 of those birds in the backyards of millions of rural families around the country will ensure that the children that need the protein are eating eggs on a daily basis. Now, that is a specific step and innovation that has been brought into Nigeria that will move us from scarcity to food security among the most vulnerable population that we have. Of course, this reduces Nigeria's dependence on imports and will drive local production. And of course, in working with rural communities, either as sellers of finished product, farmers of finished products, or farmers of raw materials, and also women in the rural communities were able to empower farmers and women in a way that has been documented by several multinational organizations around the world. Now, what is the future of agriculture? I would like to say here, the reality of it is that, with all due respect, Frank, we do not need that many more seminars. We have discussed this problem. Like I said, I've been in this for a long time. We know what the issues are, and we have deliberated across the globe on the issues. The issue is that, do we have the mental energy, the willingness to make it happen? What we need in agriculture is not so many development agendas. We have a development agenda that will work. We have several. Our governments and those in charge of our agriculture should create a roadmap, one roadmap. And anybody coming into this space should spend their energy ticking off boxes in that roadmap, rather than spending so much energy trying to develop a new plan. Agriculture, for all of us in this room who know how it works, is a long-term game. It is not a short-term game. So the earlier we do a plan, a short, medium, and long-term, and now create destinations, smart objectives on that plan, and now assess our government people based on how many points on that plan that they achieve, the better for us. If we look at countries that have done agriculture and turned it around, it's because they had agencies that were specifically created. They decided on what the objective was. They put the people there to make it happen, and they started to tick off these objectives over a short or medium term. I think that would significantly help us to move forward very quickly. For instance, if we decide, okay, the agenda, we decide in 2025 that the agenda is to have 200,000 tractors in 3 years. It's a specific agenda. And then we now decide who is going to make it happen and why. And then we put that kind of programming is what, in my experience around the world, will change the game. Next. So for us to be able to move in the new directions, it is clear that feeding of cattle is the next big thing, so to speak. Feeding of cattle for beef, feeding of cattle for milk is a development area that is going to become very prominent. In fact, in some countries, cattle, pigs consume more feed, sheep and goat consume more feed than poultry. In Nigeria, we assume animal feed is poultry feed. So there is a huge opportunity there. And we have an export market that has been declared by the Saudis and the Emiratis for hay and silage and all those other things. And the income is in dollars. So we have decided that is a growth opportunity. I'm sharing it here. And to do that, we recently procured the UAC farm in Maya, which is 1,800 acres farm with great infrastructure. It's been abandoned for several years, but we hope that it would be an opportunity for us to be able to develop work in multiplication of seeds. Like has been pointed out here, we cannot make, with the 6 million acres that we're cultivating at approximately 2 tons per hectare, apart from people like Babangona, if that goes to 5 tons per hectare, it's a significant, and the major factor is seed. So how are we going to contribute to multiplication of seeds for the next generation of young farmers who are going to take it up? The other thing that we're looking at is hay and silage cultivation and production. How are we going to tap into the market in Nigeria for feeding cattle that is imminent? And how are we going to also produce for export to all those countries around the world that are interested in our products? Among things that we're going also to improve efficiency and production of animal protein in Nigeria. Next. This is an example of some of the things that we're doing in-house to move Nigeria from scarcity to food security. We built a processing plant for chicken in Benin City and worked with some partners to see how we can actually move the chicken closer to the market. And this is one of the innovations. This was built by our technical team. It's a very simple concept, but with this, farmers, traders are able to use a hub and spoke model to take well-preserved animal protein products protected with solar panels to the actual consumers, as close to the consumers as possible. There are several other innovations like this that can be brought into agriculture that will move us, closer to our objective. So I will start to wind up at this time. Can you move to the last slide, please? So my conclusion is this. Agriculture and agribusiness is the most important hope for Nigeria. I am very, very proud to be in the middle of it. I'm proud to be associated with people like this great audience that are also a part of that system. And it is our time. 35 years ago, this could not have held because everybody thought farmers were. In fact, in my children's school, somewhere here, at the Children's Day, I went in front of the kids and said, "This is my name, and I'm a farmer." And these privileged little twats started to laugh. And they said, "You don't look like a farmer." I said, "This is how a Nigerian farmer looks, and this is how we will start looking from now." And I'm glad that, like our minister said, like our minister Adesina in the past said, farmers are the next group of millionaires and billionaires. Amen? Amen. Thank you very much.
Please let's give him a round of applause, please. Yes, indeed, the agricultural space will produce the next African billionaires. And then, agriculture is actually the great hope, for our dear continent. And we look forward to a time where we will not just only feed ourselves, create wealth, but also feed the world. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Now, moving on, we have a second panel session, right? It's going to be hosted by Fisayo Kayode. Fisayo is a strategic development expert and an agribusiness consultant with over 8 years of experience driving impactful intervention in Africa's food system and agricultural sector. As a senior manager at Sahel Consulting, she leads value chain optimization, market research, and agribusiness strategy, spearheading the ALLDN program funded by the Gates Foundation to strengthen Nigeria's dairy sector. Previously, she contributed to the FAO influenza eradication project, and she holds an MBA from IE Business School and a bachelor's degree in agriculture from Bayero University in Kano. She has specialized training from the University of Illinois, Wageningen University, and Lagos Business School. She is passionate about agricultural innovation, policy transformation, and sustainable food systems in Africa. Please let's make welcome Fisayo Kayode to lead the second panel session. And I know that a number of us have questions that we'd like to ask. We will take questions after this panel session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you so much, Dr. Ayola, for the presentation. You have spent 35 years in the industry, and we see you as our leader, our senior. I'm just a bit under a decade, and I still experience the pain that Dr. Ayola goes through in the industry. And that's why this is very important for us to come together and have call to actions. We've heard a lot about the challenges We've overflogged the issues and the bottlenecks. We need to talk about the solutions and actions that we all need to take to make Nigeria a more food secure country. And as my boss used to say, food on the table, money in the pocket. SDG goals, first two goals is no poverty, zero hunger. Again, food on the table, money in the pocket. And our topic for this session is strategies for securing food from farm to market and then to your households. And permit me to invite to the stage our prestigious discussants. I'm going to start with introducing Mrs. Atinuke Lebile, the CEO of Kato Foods. You're welcome. We also have Dr. Adelaja Adeshino, Managing Consultant, Bidelium Consult Limited. You're welcome, sir. Joining us is Mrs. Victoria Uwadoka, Corporate Communications, Public Affairs, and Sustainability Lead, Nestle Nigeria. Mr. Deji Rotimi, the CEO of HH Holdings, and also an Agile Scrum Master. You're welcome. Joining us virtually will be Alhaji Sharif Balogun, the National President, Nigerian American Chamber of Commerce. I believe he's going to be following us along the way. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to you all to this session. We will just dive right into it. We've heard about all the discussions today. We've heard a whole lot about the post-harvest loss or the high rate of food loss in the country. And I just wanted to add some numbers to give more perspective to this. We have 32 million smallholder farmers in Nigeria. And that means that 1 in every 7 citizens is a farmer. So I begin to wonder why one farmer can't feed 7 persons in the country. Let's keep that in a parking lot. We lose 20% of rice produced in the country from harvest to market. For animal sourced food, we have milk, egg, fish, meat, up to 40% every year is lost. And then when you look at fruit and vegetables, as high as 60% is lost before it gets to Lagos. Before the tomatoes leaves Jos or Kano to Lagos, 60% is gone. And the producer needs 100% of his money. Again, food on the table, money in the pocket. He needs his money. And that is why when it comes to Lagos market, it's very expensive. When you go to mile 12, you're angry every day. And it's fine to be angry, but we also need to channel that energy into finding solutions. And that's why we are here today, to talk about the solutions and call you to action on what we can do moving forward. I'm going to start with Mrs. Victoria. Nestle Nigeria is doing a very fantastic work with local sourcing of foods, dairy, grains. I've particularly followed the dairy one. Interesting model that you have with backward integration, aggregation, and bulking of milk. And I'd like to hear from you how that experience has been. What incentive do you think that would promote and encourage the expansion of that local sourcing by Nestle and other large processors that we are very much aware that they rely heavily on importation?
Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank BusinessDay for giving us this opportunity to be here. So for us, the experience of sourcing locally has been a mixed bag of challenges and solutions as well. And I think that for us, it has also become an advantage in times when importation is difficult. But I think that things could have been easier. We didn't have to become our own providers of energy, security. We didn't have to be the ones to go and bring the banks to provide financial technology for us to be able to work with the farmers. We didn't need to go and bring the agency to register the farmers, to give them some identity. There's so many things that if they were there, maybe we would have moved much faster. But I like to say that when we think about food security, we're just talking agriculture here, but it is a whole value chain, and it is farm to table. You said money in the pocket, food on the table, money in the pocket, right? And you know, it's important to think about the whole value chain from the farmer to when that food gets on the table. And we're talking about post-harvest losses. There is a whole system, a whole chain of people who are part of that. There are those who can extend the shelf life through production, and that's where we come in as manufacturers, right? We're all part of this ecosystem. So for us, sourcing locally has been very successful because there is the end point, which is the production, the manufacturing, the extension of the shelf life. That is why food is processed in the first place. You know, for example, you take the corn and you process it into pap, you extend the shelf life, but only by so much. Because if you extend that shelf life by turning it to powder, for instance, you can store it more efficiently because we do not have an efficient cold chain, right? So for us, it's been a journey of working with farmers, but not working with the farmers alone directly. We've worked with aggregators, all right? The aggregators are the first line. They take the produce from the farmers, they sort, they package, they store when they need to store before these products get to us in the factory for use. So I think that so much has been said about backward integration, what it takes to build the ecosystem. One, clustering has been talked about, so I don't want to go over that again. Ensure that they're getting value. Ensure that you're showing and telling. And so we have the demonstration farm, which is possibly what you've heard about, showing that doing it this way, using this better seed, is going to make a difference. And I really like what Amo Farms talked about, and the Noila, because growing up we had a poultry farm and it was a broilers. So I mean, that transformation, that improvement of the breed, improvement of the input, improvement of the seed is very important. But you know, we've said that before here, and I think that what we just need to do is to understand what part everybody plays within that value chain, and everybody can begin to do what they need to do. I mean, we have so much. We have the corn, we have the soya beans, we have the spices, we have the vegetables, we have the fruits, and there are people who are looking for them. So if we can fix the problem along the value chain, I think that will get a long way. For us, it's been like a very intense process of sourcing locally, but it makes sense for us. And we know that as we keep doing that, we'll be able to reduce even more our dependency on imports, and then we won't have to struggle for Forex as much as we're doing currently. So, but the infrastructure is lacking. We have great policies, and we just need to sit down and implement it. And I agree with others who say that it's not just about the government. It's you and I, it's all of us sitting here. We need to make it work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to pick up from the last thing you said. It's not just about the government. And in your opening discussion, you said you are taking on a lot of responsibility as a company. You're serving as the aggregator, as the capacity builder, as the farmer organization facilitator, and so much more. And that is where Dr. Adelaja comes in. You work with investors, you advise them on where to put in their money, and you understand that there's a lot of moving parts in the value chain and where they could possibly lessen the burden of Nestle. We are thinking collaboration here. So what innovative solutions or strategies do you think that we can adopt as a country to really crack this nut of collaboration and having shared responsibilities across the value chain?
Thank you very much, Fikayo, and good morning, or is it afternoon now? Good afternoon, everyone. And let me also commend the effort of Business Day in bringing this together, and thanks to the Chief Executive, Mr. Frank Agbogun. To answer your question, the first thing I will ask is the fact that food cannot be downloaded. How many of you have been able to download food today with all the apps that you have? Nobody. And then the second thing that we must also understand is the fact that hunger does not discriminate based on your religion, based on your tribe, based on your political affiliation. So we all go to the same market. So if that is understood by everybody, then it means that everything that we need to do to make sure that we move from scarcity to security must be ensured. And that's where the question that we are asking about efforts at collaborating and bringing the different players together. We must first understand the value chain of activities. It's been said clearly that the output of one person becomes the input of another person. So there is a need to have that understanding of the capacities that each level of the value chain require, and we will build that capacity. It is when we now have that understanding that we can now begin to piece the chain together and see how we can work in as a team to solve this problem of insecurity that we have, the problem of food scarcity that we have, where we must look at the major things that government need to do is to provide that enabling environment. That's why insecurity must be tackled by government. But I like what was said in the morning, that farmers are not doing it for the fun of it. They want money. It is business. So if we understand that this is business and we have built a capacity and we recognize people that we can play with or work with or do business with in that collaborative effort, knowing that there is money to be made at every point of the value chain, that understanding will help us to drive the process and also come up with a winning formula that will make us to move in the direction of food security. Because somebody has said, and it is true, that the security of any nation is their food security, not in the military might. It is good to have the military might. That is why budgetary allocation, while it is good to have huge defense budget, you must also have good agricultural budget to ensure this food security and help all the players to understand their roles and come together to play as a team. With that, we will be able to move from the scarcity that we're experiencing now into the security that we all desire. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adelaja. And when we look at it critically, we still need to fall back on the engagement of the farmers so that they understand that beyond production, there's so much more to be done and there's so much more opportunities there, including for youth and women. And Mrs. Atinoke, you found a sweet spot. Cattle Foods, at the core of Cattle Foods operations is value addition and processing. And I understand that you work directly with smallholder farmers. In your experience working with these farmers, what strategies have you adopted to ensure that you are minimizing their waste? And how do you think that moving forward, the different actors in the space should tap into these lessons and build out and create opportunities to minimize waste and reliance on food importation?
All right, thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. I like your introduction where you were talking about, you wonder why a farmer cannot feed 7 people, right? And this starts from the farmers itself and their operations. And you know that every operation of reprocessors also depend on the success of every farmer's cultivation. And that is why it is very important for farmers to be able to understand what they are doing and how they should do it best, in order for processors to also be able to take advantage of that and also to be able to help them and also help them grow. Now, how do I say it? Now, I work with cassava a lot.
So I can say that from an hectare of cassava, you're expected to have about 10,000 to 12,000 stand of cassava on per hectare. And you're having a smallholder farmers having about 3,000 just on 1 hectare, in which they don't understand that they're supposed to have more than that, and that is where food scarcity starts from, and that is why they cannot feed 7 people. Now, for us at Cattle Food, we've been able to work with smallholder farmers to be able to develop their capacity and also develop their needs. Over the years, we started with just about 50 farmers, and now on our value chain, we have about 1,500 farmers that we are working with at the moment. And how are we able to do this? We know that as a processor, we need raw materials. And we also want these farmers to grow in their several, even in their homes, make more money. It's all about money. Yes, we are all creating food, but it's all about money. Everybody wants money. And so what we're able to do is we train these farmers in the crop that they cultivate. We have extension agents that also go to their farms and also make sure they are doing the right thing. As much as we process, we also want to process quality food. It's not just about giving everybody food, because Nigeria as a whole right now is about quantity and not even about quality that people are looking at. But at the same time, or some processors like us, like Nestle, everybody wants to give out nutritious and quality food that people can eat and be healthy. So we need to also educate these farmers on how to cultivate this healthy route for us. We also create access to finances for them. We link them to banks. Most times, we know that most of them don't really get money from the banks, but at the same time, we also have development partners who also want to help farmers, and that is why from the conversation that was held in the morning, talking about farmers working in cooperatives, because it is easy to help farmers that are in cooperative or that are in clusters to be able to access resources, access incentives, access finances. So for every farmer that we work with, we've been able to create them into cooperatives. We work in different clusters. So each clusters have their cooperatives. And we also have cooperatives that also have women in them majorly, because we know that women in agriculture do not really have access to most of the things that men also have access to. But because I am a woman myself, and one thing that is very important to me is also to empower women in the agricultural space. So we also have women in clusters that we're able to put together to also access incentive finances that women or men, their counterparts, also have access to. So these are major things that we've been able to do. We also create market access for them. As much as we have farmers in our outgrower farmers scheme that will be able to empower, help, and also create market access for them, we know that they also have friends who don't have access to markets for their crops. We also take this from them. And in a situation where we cannot offtake everything that these farmers cultivate, we also get people in that space that could also uptake from them, because we know that we trade these farmers, we know the quality of what they are giving you, and we also link them to good processing centers that can also help them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So capacity building, farmers linkage, and lots of support that you provide to them. I'm going to Mr. Deji now. Digital transformation is a thing globally. And that means that we cannot continue to do business as usual if we really want to feed 220 million Nigerians. Most of the farmers we have in the country, I would say they are not quite literate. Majority of the smallholder farmers, the 32 million smallholder farmers. And we've been talking about technology, precision agriculture, Internet of Things, AI, and so on. How do you think that we can make this easily accessible to the farmers? That's the first part of the question. And the second part is that given that the technical know-how is really low or almost not there, what creative solutions do you think that we can introduce to make them catch up with technology and leveraging different digital tools for improved productivity, storage, logistics, and transportation?
All right. Thanks for that question. So to reiterate what he said was, how do we make technology accessible to the local farmers? And how do we transfer technical knowledge, information to them. I would like to take a step back first, before I answer that. One, we're all here in Oriental in Lagos. The farmer, before we get to AI, cloud, IoT, we just need to produce the food first. Let's not even go there. And this is somebody speaking to you from, we have a technology company with 100 tech members. So now you see a lot of startups, young people, oh, I can build startups for this farm, I can do all this and fancy stuff. But what usually happens is the tech people build things in their isolation and excitement, obviously mirroring and looking at Netherlands, wherever else, and then finish up, give it to the farmers, and it's not useful. And then they probably got in VC funding and all those things, and it falls flat, time and time again. So a lot of time there's the media and there's the real world. How many people here has been to Borno to buy beans? Even when bomb is falling, nobody, but you eat beans in your market. So there's a disconnect. So, and then when we say knowledge transfer and stuff, in fact, all right, just before I go forward, forget how I look. We've been in this space for 15 years. And I still see some of my old people, we know ourselves. And 15 years, it took us 5 years to understand that. And what do we start with? Our stuff, our business has always been markets. So we let everybody produce and things, but we said every business starts from the market first. Everybody makes that mistake. Everybody rushes into I'm producing, and then they get stuck. So we've, over the years, worked on the markets. So supermarkets, they're buying on ShopRite. Most likely, we've fed you before, or at least I've chopped your money one way or the other at some point. But we also realized along the pathway that we had to build involuntarily almost 10 businesses, from marketing and signing contracts and agreements with the supermarkets. We had to go back to the logistics, to the storage, to financing. In fact, I would say just until like 6-7 years ago, somebody was talking to me about bankruptcy and what it meant to be bankrupt. It means you don't have money again, right? You owe more money. I said, well, I guess we've been bankrupt for 15 years straight, because it seemed like it was just, the only difference was there was no other way but to go forward. So if you've noticed a trend here, everybody has spoken, you might see Amo as a farm. No, there are like 10 businesses in one. Babangona, likewise. Nestle here, they just want to produce, but they are into everything. And that tells you something. You can't afford to be one business. You can't say, I'm a farmer producing alone. Either you collaborate with somebody else that is much bigger so you survive. Otherwise, you fall apart. So, who are we? HH Holdings, right? We didn't start off at HH Holdings, we started as Hills Harvest. Many might know us and things, but now we're in 12 industries, at least, last count, 15 plus businesses in 3 countries. So we now have warehouses that we export from here to the States. So your Indomie, Gari and stuff to ourselves in UK, Canada, and UK. Because we said, you know what, enough of doing all this work to this point, and then you're expecting somebody to deliver for you or help you export or sell to somebody and it messes up. So if you don't go end to end, you're not gonna survive. It's just basically what it is. And I'm sure Nestle, as big as you guys are, one thing is you guys have dollar issues. Regardless of whatever it is, I don't care how big you are. As long as you are playing within the space of Nigeria, you would always be handicapped by the dollar side of things. And it dawned on us that, oh, you know what, to actually look at this agribusiness game, you have to look at it from a global scale. That's why you see Chinese and everybody else come with hundreds of millions of dollars. They make profit, and it seems like all of us don't know what they do. You are just looking at the game from a different point. We're talking about interest rates from the banks. Do you all know that the world's interest rate and the financial system is tied to the US Treasury? They start with 2%. They add it to their banks. The banks, JP Morgan, you are not sell to anybody outside. So when we talk about technology for, the US for decades, it no work now. Money point that is blue everywhere. You see them for the farm side, they won't near it because it's dead on arrival. So what I'm just trying to say is that back and tell ourselves the truth. Like, look, what game are we playing? Basketball or soccer? And who is our opponent? It's everybody locally. You don't have authority. Can't do that. But government will never tell you, like, look, it makes no sense. Side, I will say first, I tell people who want to get into the business.
Would any of our panelists like to address that question?
My question is, the panelists mentioned that we have like 1,000 farmers and this and that. Please, how can we have access to these farmers? Because we have a startup that, have logistics on ground and we are connecting to farmers, hospitality industry and co. But we really have farmers. We have been chasing farmers all around. We don't see. Please, how can we access all these 1,001 farmers?
All right.
Reality is no government can solve its food inflation. Reality is no government can solve its food inflation problem through importation. Now the hard work needs to be done to be able to actually now that are critical. So, for example, what they talked about with empowering the Bank of Agriculture. Fundamentally, at the end of the day, the access to finance is the biggest lever that will solve this problem. Because you talked about expensive inputs. How do you solve expensive inputs? Well, you don't really solve expensive inputs. You just need capital to buy those inputs, because fundamentally the business model makes sense, right? Even with those, our farmers that we work with, their costs have grown 5x in the last 3 years, right? But thankfully, the product they sell, maize, has grown 6 or 7x, right? So that profitability is still relatively strong, but fundamentally, as the other speaker online said, unless they have access to capital, that 70,000 naira they had will not take them to buy 400,000 naira worth of inputs. So it's a very critical need, and I'm encouraged that the government is taking that first key step. And on the question of where are the farmers, I'm not sure where you are. Where are you working? I'm not sure where you are. Where are you working? Got you. Sure. So just so you're saying, so you're trying to get the farmers to sell their produce through you to Lagos? Is that it? Correct. The farmers are there. We've personally worked with well over 500,000 over the last few years.
Called Produce Export Development Alliance. We actually are founded to help to bridge that gap and support people that are interested in tending and active horticultural exports from Nigeria. The opportunity for horticulture is huge, especially in Europe, in the Middle East, and other parts of like Southeast Asia, for some of the things that we can actually ingeniously grow here. And PEDA, that's the Produce Export Development Alliance, is supporting active exporters. You can actually reach Jessica. Jessica, please, can you show a wave of hand if you're in the hall, or you can. Oh, she's not in the hall. Or you can actually visit our banner outside. Thank you very much, El. I would actually be calling on the editor BusinessDay Media to actually come give a closing. Okay, yes, publisher, yes, okay. All right, thank you. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Ade T. Loye, Continental. Thank you very much. I was going to ask you to do that. You're so gracious. Now, we've had a great day, I'm sure. Truth is, we can't resolve all the issues in one day. But I think we have done a very good job at identifying and emphasizing some of the key things that we need to do. There are a few takeaways from here for each and every one of us. And in particular for Business Day, what we intend to do is to drop a communique, a sense of an articulation of the conversation here today, so that we can present that both to the government and, of course, to the general public as well. We were told that food for table, money for pocket. Yeah, am I right? I hope by the time we meet next year, it will be more food on the table and more money in your pocket. Because as they said, all we are all doing is farm so we can have more money in our pocket. I wish you have more money in your pocket. Let me very quickly thank our sponsors once again for their support in ensuring that we're able to stage this. There are some of them who have come with us over the last 10 years, and even more. And I'm sure when we call on you next year, the door will be opened unto us. Indeed, have a great day, and surely have a great farm day. Thank you so much for coming, and bye-bye.